and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Man at YouTube with another question and answer video. Last week I put out a video asking for questions, as I do every month, and today you shall be receiving your answers. I've got quite a few questions, multi-part questions, so we've got quite a bit to get through. Straight into it, I guess. JXTR Gunpla 747, that's quite a name, has 3 questions. What kind of plastic cement is the best? There are 2 that I know that are very favourable among a lot of modelers. You've got the Plastruck, which is sort of in an orangey glass bottle at hobby shops. It's normally quite expensive. It's probably your most concentrate and strongest plastic cement. I think Ghost of Xeon uses it. I don't personally use it, but that will stick any form of styrene or modelling plastic to another surface and get it absolutely welded. I think it might be also called plastic weld or something like that. The other one is just your normal Tamiya white bottle capped cement. That's Tamiya's thickest and strongest cement. After it sits for a little while, it does thicken, or if you add a few bits of plastic in it, it'll become stronger, but it'll dry longer. It does have a long drying period, but generally that will definitely get pieces stuck together, and you'll have your less chances of it splitting or whatnot. There are other cements on the market. You've got the one that smells like lemon, the limestone one, the extra thin, and others that are similar. They're good for smaller, finer details or re-gluing split seams, but they seem to be a lot weaker, and they're more likely to come across more problems. But for beginners, the Tamiya white bottle with a brush, it's the easiest to apply. They last for a very long time, and it's good value for money. An alternative I know a lot of modelers also use is the Revell syringe cement. That is pretty good. The syringe needle does block, but all you have to do is unblock it with a lighter by putting the flame over, or putting the actual needle itself into a flame from a lighter, and that fixes it. Those 2 are the way to go. If you don't have Tamiya in your city, I think Testers does one in a bottle, or most other brands that have a cement in a bottle with a brush will be sufficient. But in my opinion, what I like to use the most, Tamiya white cap. Number 2, any plate tips on bending them? So getting a styrene sheet and bending them. As I mentioned in the last video, I've covered this topic. I do not bend plastic. If you were to blend it, you'd have to apply either heat, or you would need to put it in a vise and hold it into place for many days for it to form its shape. There are chances of it warping back to straight or warping further. If you want to make reoccurring shapes, that can be very difficult unless you're using heat in a die or using vac forming process. So if you're serious about bending styrene, Google and research tutorials on vac forming. You'll need to use 1 mil or thicker styrene. It is a very busy process. I much prefer to buy half mil thick brass. I bend that to shape using pliers, tools, a hammer and automotive dollies, and then super gluing it into place using putty. I'm far more happier with that method than actually bending plastic. Also on my Facebook, someone did a tutorial a few weeks ago on bending styrene, and I just put a link to it on the Man Facebook page. So if you scroll down a bit, you'll find the link to that and have a look. Question number 3, is it better if I wear an NWO t-shirt while spray painting? I'm wearing a different t-shirt. I've got the Mayhem. Look, I've got a very cool collection of t-shirts from bands and wrestling and 90s culture. It's a t-shirt I like to wear. It has no influence on my modelling. When I go on camera, I try to wear something that is nice and pleasant, not a wholly crappy t-shirt or something that will embarrass myself. So I suggest if you are wearing a t-shirt you like and you're spraying or airbrushing, wear an apron over it, or just wear a t-shirt you don't care about while spraying, because when I'm actually working in the studio and doing actual modelling, I wear different clothing to when I actually appear on camera. I've actually only got a very old jacket at the moment, to the reason why I'm being filmed from the shoulders up. Sir Dialot, how well does the Gundam community handle people who do their Gundams up in historical colours? I'd like to enter a competition, and I have plans to do a Waffen SS Gundam and a Napoleonic War Parade uniform French Gundam. I have definitely seen military-inspired Gundam kits. I have built and painted military-inspired kits. The reason why you're probably asking me, and I'm definitely going to do more. The Gundam community, I reckon you should not care what the Gundam community thinks. It's very diverse, it's very big, it's largely sort of in an immature state of development. There is a handover of older modelers leaving, younger modelers coming in. There are many communities with many different point of views, be it what's in your local community and online forums to what the international and greater, bigger forums and Facebook groups prefer. What I reckon, if you're serious about a competition and if you're serious about winning, you just generally judge the type of entries that go in, the type of entries that are won in the past. See if you can find out about the judges and see what their models and works look like. You could probably design something and enter it around that, though I recommend with competitions you should not be designing and painting a model to that sort of research and expectations. You should sort of more so do it to what suits your style, what you like the look of, what you want to see in a model, because you are the one that's going to live with it afterwards. But it does go down to your choice. Do you want to design a model for a competition that's going to win and the judges will appreciate to their personal standards, or are you going to build something to your personal standards? My theory is, I love the look of historical uniforms from Continental to Renaissance war periods in the Gundam kits, or World War II colour schemes or textures or Zimmerath or camo patterns, even as far as going with decals. I think it will look amazing. I think you should definitely go through it. When you finish it and paint it, send me a link. I'd love to have a look at it. But the thing is, with the general Gundam community, all in all, they'll criticise it and they might ridicule it. It's a very cruel community at the moment in receiving feedback. Do not take that feedback too seriously at all. If you do listen to feedback or you're looking for improvement, go to people that you trust and that you know that will be there to help you out and not cut you down. People are generally quite crude in that regards. Definitely go out and do it. Definitely put it out and show people. But don't listen to the Gundam community. And remember, in responsible competitions, which actually I don't even think you've asked anything about competitions. So just don't worry about any of bit of that advice. Don't worry what your peers think. Be more concerned about yourself and your friends. But yeah, definitely do it. Lon242 has got a couple of questions. How do you go about fixing a kit's pose in place? I've heard of putting glue in the joints. I've painted a few kits in the past. I've glued a few kits in the past in the solid pose. What I normally do is, once I've got the fixed pose, I dismantle it and hold it in the pose that joint's meant to be in. I put a couple of bits of super glue in the polycap and joint so it's nice, hard and stiff. And then once that's dry, I put putty around the joint and either add a little detail like a rubber fold, or just completely fill it in so there's no element of a polycap or a join line. And it comes out great. It's got the support of the super glue. It's also got the support of the putty. How do you go about making legit looking sand terrains for 1/100 and smaller dioramas? Sand is very easy and very fun to do. Let's say a desert with sand dunes. I would start with a wooden board, cut to shape, and you make sure you have a place where it's a firm flat ground or magnets to put your buildings or the Gundam itself to stand in some vehicles. Make the dunes. Get some wood putty or just really cheap hardware store putty, and just sculpt some dunes really generally with your hands on the wooden board, so it's just not a flat ground. It's sort of bumpy. There's hills, dunes, whatever, paths. Be a bit creative. Download some pictures off Google galleries or images and see what deserts look like, and try to copy those shapes with the dunes. Cover it all in PVA glue. Get some sand from a sand pit or the ground or wherever you can get natural beach sand or desert sand, and just sprinkle it on, let it dry, paint it deserty colours. Hand painting, easy, just go from dark and just dry brush sandish colours, airbrushing, just dust on. It will look pretty good, bit of a wash. 1/100 is pretty good because a lot of wargaming tanks and equipment such as trucks and the game Flames of War and more modern resin and metal tanks on eBay are made in 1/100, so you can get some like Challengers or trucks or like a burnt out old Cold War tank in the corner. That could be a lot of fun, but there's a lot at your disposal for making 1/100 desert dioramas. I've done it a long time ago. Watch my video on my 1144 GNX. I did a diorama terrain bit that was all desert sand. It was really cool. Next question. Oh, wow, you got a lot of questions. Have you ever tried painted lightning, such as a tank's muzzle flash, red hot metal, or a glowing beam saber? If so, any tips, suggestion, what painting techniques are needed? It is definitely very possible. I'm actually doing a honing your airbrush skills video on gradient painting. Wait until that comes out. It's sort of, I darken the ends of barrels, and I made a camera lens where it's going from red, orange, yellow, that sort of has a bright red flash. These are all definitely different painting methods, but you can do it in either hand painting or airbrushing. It's just gradiently going for a bright colour and then shading it slowly back to the colour of the metal or the black smog or whatever. Ghost Xeon did a long time ago gradient painting candy beam saber, which is on his website. That's definitely worth looking at. But it's something that you'll want to look at people's works, get a feel of the colours they're using, where they're doing it, download lots of models of explosions and muzzle flashes, practice on a bit of scrap plastic. I don't have an exact method I can give you right now, but there are tutorials out there, there are inspirations. Go out and definitely have a look, have a play, and wait until that video comes out next week. When working with lacquers, do you see a big difference thinning with department store lacquers, thinners versus recommended hobby branded stuff in terms of finish, ease of spraying, etc.? The only difference is the smell. I think the general purpose or industrial lacquer thinners just have a stronger smell, where the hobby branded stuff just has a more milder smell. In the way of finish, there's no difference. You can put additives to alter the finish of your paint if you want it glossier or matte. One additive I always recommend buying is the Mr. Hobby Lacquer Retardant. If you want to imitate Mr. Leveling Thinner, where the drying times are varied, you can add that directly to your paint mixture. But I'm a big recommender of just bulk general thinner or lacquer thinner. It's really almost the same thing. Suggestion. I think a video showing LED installation would be helpful. For example, lighting a master grade mono eye, showing the material, wiring needed. I know there are a few guides out there, but one with your instructional style would be great. Unfortunately, I'm an electrical technician by trade, as well as I've got a number of other trades. I don't really like the look of LEDs. I haven't done lighting in a kit for a very long time. I like to play with jewels and other bits and pieces. I think it's too overpowering. Ghost of Xeon has done some nice tutorials. His style of tutorials are very similar to mine. If he's done one, it's worth checking out. But at the moment, unfortunately, it's a good suggestion, but it's not very high on my priorities of other tutorials and videos to make. If I do get around to it, unfortunately, it's not going to be for a very long time. So I'm sincerely sorry and apologise I cannot fulfill that request. Thanks again for taking time to answer our questions. Good luck with your Gunpla Builders World Cup project. Thank you very much, Lon242. I will keep everyone updated with that project, and I will do my absolute best. Cam, question, super glue, good brands, poor brands. I go to the $2 shop. I have a very special $2 shop I go to. They have a 10 or 12 pack of the cheap Chinese super glue with just super glue written on it. This shit, it's really cheap. It's about $1 something for about 10, 12 of them. If you get a needle, like a sewing needle, and if you just prick the barrier and use the super glue, if you don't use the whole amount, the super glue within the barrier dries, and you might get 2-3 days out of it. After a week it will completely die. But with 10-12 tubes, that lasts a few projects. I normally go to the $2 shop once every 6 months, 1 year. I blow $20 worth and walk out with a giant supermarket bag full of the stuff. I actually one time got pulled over by the police in the city with said bag, and I almost got done in for vandalism or some strange criminal activity. So that part is pretty funny, and I know you would enjoy that. But I just use the cheaper stuff. I do understand the more expensive gel super glue does have its advantages, especially with toy repair and soft vinyl. Yeah, I just use the cheaper stuff. I've been using it for many years. It's never failed me, and I'm still very happy with it. I don't use accelerators or any additives to my super glue. Question. Can we be best friends? No, due to your lack of support of my very famous hashtag campaign against a certain online store, unfortunately you are best friends with Patrick Chan. Next question. Thank you very much, Cam. Nicholas asks, acrylic or enamel? I had to ask him for clarification, and he wanted to know, do I use enamel or acrylic? I assume he's a newer subscriber. Over the years I have used all three major types of paint. At the moment, due to what's available in Australia, my preferences is airbrushing lacquers for the majority of my Gundam kits. Hand painting smaller detail is a mixture of acrylic and lacquers. Hand painting with lacquer is very unorthodox, but I've developed methods to make it work very, very well for me. And enamels I used to use a lot for airbrushing and hand painting, but over time that has been phased out. I did like enamels a long time ago, especially for hand painting, and it was the first paints I used as a beginner. I highly recommend beginners definitely play with enamels. They're a very fun paint. They are slow drying, but you learn patience. It self-levels. It looks very vibrant. It looks very beautiful. But I find lacquers are also quite vibrant and beautiful in itself as well. So at the moment I'm a lacquer and acrylic man. My acrylics are the resin-based, not the water-based. I actually really do not like Vallejo or any of those water-based acrylics. I have a couple of problems with them, especially how they stick to the plastic handling and their masking properties more than anything. I like the paints with the heavy fumes, but I don't have a problem of wearing masks, having an extractor booth, having a whole studio. People that have to paint and build in a kitchen or in a home scenario, that is a lot more appropriate for them. Clay asks, a very top bloke, where have you been in the last few weeks? You've disappeared for a bit. For the past few weeks before I had my big return, I have been organising, planning and attending a gigantic LARP event in Australia. It was called Quest, At the moment where it stands, it was the biggest LARP event ever in Australia, and the biggest they've ever hosted to date. I had a lot of fun. I played a sergeant character in the mercenary army, and I got up to all sorts of interesting mischief battles and whatnot. Unfortunately, I had to leave early due to a personal emergency. But yeah, that's where I've been, and I'm back, and I'm staying around for good, though there's going to be announcements regarding what's going to happen to me and this channel in December, so stay tuned for that. It's actually good news. Tim asks, Dear Alan, this might be a long one. It is a long one. Oh Jesus, it's the guy's life story. No offense. I have a question and hope you can help me out. I have been spraying my gunpla with an airbrush for a year now. I use one made by Wave and has an exchangeable needle and nozzle. I know the ones you were talking about. I can swap between a 0.3mm and 0.5mm. Now I'm getting into pre-shading and do so with the 0.3 needle, as you do, and nozzle. At first I used Alclad black primer on Alclad white primer, but unfortunately it produced a lot of splatter, produces a lot of dry tip. I find that that particular primer does have a bad habit of splattering. I actually stopped using Alclad black primer. I find it clots and clogs very easily. It's got a very strange and disruptive microfiller. I much prefer the Mr. Colour or Tamiya primer, especially since Mr. Colour now has, or Mr. Surfacer now has a black primer. Also, if you do like the Alclad black, they're just black base coat, which is just thin black paint, is beautiful. Does not really splatter, does not really clog the airbrush. After that I switched over to Alclad Enamel Gloss Black, the same. You'd use for high sheen metal paints by Alclad. Thinking that it is being enamel, it wouldn't produce dry tipping so much. But every time I did 1 or 2 lines, I would have to remove the needle cap and use a cotton bud Q-tip with thinner to wipe the needle clean, or else it will splatter and splurt out some nasty semi-dried paint. Splatters on the piece, which of course show in the final result. I even use Badger regrab needle juice, which they claim prevents dry needle. I've never seen or used that product before. Is there anything I can do except sanding a piece after panel lining and cleaning the needle every 2 lines or so? Or I found it nearly impossible to spray without the needle cap on, as the paint comes out too thin by some weird phenomenon I don't understand. Also, I spray at 12 psi, which works great except for the problem stated above. I really hope you can help me out. Thanks in advance. This is definitely a problem. Again, as I mentioned while reading it out, I do not like the I do not like the Alclad's to black primer. I used to have similar problems. It didn't happen as regularly with me as it did you, but very occasionally I have this terrible black crud just spit all over my work. Ways to avoid that would be increasing your PSI closer to 15 or slightly higher, adding some lacquer or appropriate thinner to the mixture, making it even thinner. If there's more thinner in the mixture, it's less likely going to dry your needle out. Maybe a little bit of Mr. Hobby retardant thrown into the mix. Inspect your needle. If there is the tiniest bend or crook in your needle, it will catch paint, build up paint on that tiny needle, and when there's too much paint there, it will just suddenly splutter all over your work. There's just a few things, but I actually recommend for your priming and for your black undercoating needs, and I use Alclad a lot. Just stop using Alclad primers. Some people love the stuff, some people it doesn't work. It might actually be an environmental issue in your area. Your country may be too cold or too humid or something, because some places, I understand, it's the greatest product in the world, and other people like myself, like yourself, really struggle airbrushing with this paint. Another thing, because it is a micro filler and it's very weird, with the actual primer itself, make sure you shake it and stir it really thoroughly. The micro filling properties is very strange. Alclad has a habit of separating very, very quickly, so it needs a very good shake and a very good stir before you use. The older paints by Alclad used to have a ball bearing or two, and when you shook it up, it was just like a rattle can, and it would break up all the pigment inside. Consider putting some ball bearings inside it as well. But going back into what I said, consider using a different brand of paint that's gloss black that can handle lacquers. Shake the paint thoroughly, stir the paint thoroughly, do it for 60 seconds. Add thinner, add retardant, raise your PSI. After that, if you're still having problems, it just goes back down to just using a different paint. I hope that helped you out, mate. If you're still having further problems, you are more than welcome to send me private messages and comments, and I'll happily help you out further. Samuel asks, have you heard of the 3D printer, the 3D Systems Cube 3D printer? I saw it at the local Best Buy, and now a bunch of ads pop up on YouTube about it. Would you know how it compares to your model, if at all? When I was researching 3D printers to buy, this was a printer that I was considering. It was also available at the 3D printer shop I was at. It is probably one of the bigger brands like the MakerBot. And from my research, it is a superior 3D printer to mine. There's about 5 of them. I assume you're talking about the cheapest or second cheapest. It has 2 extrusion heads, which is really cool, multiple colors. The printing bed's the same size. The resolution might be ever so slightly finer, if not the same. It prints faster than mine, and I'm pretty sure, you may want to check, but I can't remember, it self-calibrates. And if it self-calibrates, you'll save a bucket load of time and heartache that I've had to go through. But all in all, it seems to be a fantastic 3D printer. Before you do buy a 3D printer, I suggest looking at comparing websites. Read what does microns mean, how many actual point mils of extrusion or detail you'll get. Have a look on Google of people who have printed models with that 3D printer, and if you like the look of the detail, and go on some forums or Google problems with X 3D printer, and they'll have people bringing up threads about, you know, this has happened to me, that's happened to me, this sort of faults, how frequently the faults happen with how many people, if people come up with solutions and then they work. You're better off knowing about your problems with your 3D printer before you buy it than after you have it, so at least you've already had the research and the knowledge of how to fix it. If there is a YouTube channel or a YouTuber who covers the use of the 3D printer, setting it up, getting through problems, visual aid, that will help. When I bought the Up Plus, there was this young girl on YouTube, and she showed a half-an-hour video how to set it up, and a few videos after that about operating it and reloading plastic and all sorts of stuff. That was insanely helpful to me, because the instructions that this thing came from was pretty crap, and I was left in the dark and fearful, not knowing if I was doing the right thing or the wrong thing. So do a little bit of homework yourself. It is a reputable brand. It is a good brand. I've seen stuff that's been printed out of it. I almost got it, but it definitely has its advantages and disadvantages. 3D printing is still very new. The home 3D printer at $1,000 is volatile. Some has advantages, some has disadvantages. Every single one of them has a problem, and part of the hobby is overcoming those problems and producing good and great models. And sometimes if you want to print something that's very ambitious, it's going to fail, and you might have to go into some software, slice up the model and print it out in components, as you see in some of my work in progress pictures. But yeah, I reckon definitely jump into it, dude. Just do your research. Afi Fowl on Facebook asked, had a few questions. 1. What is your opinion on extra finish kits? This is like the high chrome or the pearlescence or whatever. Unless it's high chrome, I don't really care. I avoid buying them. If a kit has some extra finish bits, I'll probably strip them off with bleach. Kits that are completely covered in a special finish I think look very cool, but they get fingerprints all over them. The problem is when you remove a kit from the sprue via the gate, you get nub marks. And if the nub marks are visible on the front of the armor pieces of the Gundam, you'll get all these black dots all over the place, and there is no appropriate paint or Gundam marker that can hide them. You can make them semi-invisible, but they'll always be there in closer inspection. Newer Gundam kits such as master grades and latest high grades, when they'd be done in special finish, they're undergated. The nubs are under pieces of armor that are hidden once it's all snapped together. I think they look very cool. They're great. But the older ones, where they have seam lines and problems and issues, and they don't come into multiple parts of armor sticking out of them and polycaps, they'll have black dots everywhere. They'll have terrible seam lines that are just more visual. What you need to do when you're buying a special coat kit, look at a video or a review or pictures of the finished model, see where the nub marks are, see if people's reviewed it, and it's a kit by kit basis. I've got 2 very special limited edition Gentai special coated kits I have not built yet. I think I might sit on them longer, but again, just do your research. It has to be love for the subject, its value, and if it's undergated or not, how it looks when it's finished. If the kit that you want to build and paint only comes in a special coated kit and you want to repaint it, the special coating will come off in a bleach bath. It strips just like paint, because what the special coating actually is not a paint. It's not electrocoated. It's actually a material very similar to tin foil that you use in your kitchen, that is really, really thin with a sticky underbacking, and it's just wrapped around so neatly there's no creases, bumps or rips. And that's how they're done. There's a product called fine metal foil, and they do the same thing. You can buy this thin foil, it's very, very thin, with this glue on it, and you just apply it on the piece and you smooth out the wrinkles, and you pat it down and you cut the edges off, and you've got a natural metal looking piece. It's very popular with our car modelers. Check out a YouTube video on its application. It's kind of cool. I bought some. I'm going to use it one day, but it is so troublesome it's not funny. But yeah, again, case by case. I've never built one. I don't think I will build one. You can ink over them, you can paint over them, but they're just troublesome. Question 2. What's your opinion on P-bandai? Are they not just merely a colour swap kit? Look, with P-bandai, you sort of have to have an understand of the otaku and anime culture in Japan of collectible items. You'll have an anime or a movie or something comes out, you know, Gundam series or normal anime. You'll have merchandise, model kits and toys. For example, a popular anime comes out and the toy comes out, and they sell the toy cheap, 2,000 yen. You can buy it anywhere for a certain period of time. You buy it, you're happy. And then they'll have very special events, promotions, coupons, competitions, whatever, and they'll make a very limited amount of the same figure, but will have one extra accessory, a different box, or maybe a colour swap dress or something. And they will charge tenfold of it, and it's a bit of a status thing. Hardcore collectors will go out and they'll bid, go to auctions, buy it, go in competitions, buy it second hand. It's a business and trade. And once you've collected enough very limited, very rare items in Japan and you have it in a collection, you show it off a line, you have a status as a collector, nerd, otaku, whatever. And it's the same thing with P-bandai kits. Back in the day, Bandai would do very special edition kits such as a limited model kit, B Club resin, though resin is not for everyone. Not everyone is capable of working with resin. There would always be an item that is made in limited numbers, has a very high price, and it has a gimmick that this subject has that other subjects do not have. Once Gundam is such a big and popular thing, it's a subject and modelling pastime that's all over the world, and in Japan, with this whole collecting culture thing, Bandai is on the same path. They'll release a model that has a colour swap, and you have to understand with making models, the tooling process of making the molds is the most expensive part, and then you recoup and remake your model money by making a massive quantity of them. So if they have a extra spare part or an extra limited part, they're going to make a small tooling or a small mold, and they need to sell it at a higher price to get that money back. They'll do a small run of decals. Making decals on a small run opposed to a big run takes time, takes money. They need to recoup that money. Same when you have to do a small run of kits using a different colour styrene and a different boxing. That increases the cost of the manufacturing, and obviously they have to charge more, but at the same time they add even more money, so they make their profit, but at the same time they make a small run so it's collectible. People go out, they say only so much is going to be released, they get sold immediately because there is less being sold than what people are demanding for. And it's to fill a niche or a collector's desire that is involved in the culture of Japanese modelers and anime toy collectors. Now, when we're looking at it from the outside world, the Western world, we're just seeing it as Bandai profiteering. If anything, I believe Bandai, unlike other modeling manufacturers and companies, are very generous in their programs of supporting grassroots communities, clubs, and hosting competitions like the Gunpla Builders World Cup and smaller online competitions, giving away model kits, prizes, all sorts of things. All they're doing is that they've see a demand in the market that's quite popular, it's quite prominent in Japan, and it's even bigger than themselves, and all they are doing is fulfilling it. My theory with P-bandai is if you're a snapper, you don't paint your kits, and a kit has come out in a colour scheme you like, with decals that you like, or a Gentai kit, which is non-P-bandai but a limited small run kit, which was a thing before P-bandai and will probably still be a thing for special events out of the online sales website thing. If you like the subject, if you like the colour scheme, it's your thing, you go out and buy it. If it's not your thing, you ignore it. There's people out there that complain and being controversial about it, but I just think that they're just griping for attention from the community. Ignore them. All in all, I've got nothing against them. They don't interest me. If there's a kit that I can modify or paint, I'll do it with an existing kit. I don't see why I need to buy a kit 3-4 times more expensive unless it is so unique and there's so much extra detail in pieces that I feel the need to buy it. And one day that may occur, or one day it may not. But I'm not going to judge it. That's my opinion on P-bandai. Though I do love the hell out of B Club resins. The sculpts are a very small run. They're made by a single artist. They're sometimes out of proportion, but they've just got a special, what's the term for it? Charm about it. And that's why I collect them. It's an artistic interpretation of a subject, like how someone would modify a Gelgug to look different, because that's how they like the look of it. That's what one of those kits are, so they're not accurate, but it's an artistic interpretation. Tim asks, P.S. Keep up the great show. Thank you very much, Tim. Try to help out people on the forum, which I won't state here as I now know you do not like the company backing it. But when writing doesn't fully explain the situation, I give them your YouTube account and that of Ghost of Xeon, typing Thank you very much for doing that. There are, unfortunately, due to some controversial arguments I've gotten into, some Facebook groups I have been banned from, some groups I do not post on, so I do not like how they treat their members or who backs them, but I believe everyone should have access to my content. Anyone should be free to use and cherry pick my content as they see fit. And if you guys feel the need to share my content and help other people out, everyone is free to do so, and I do thank everyone who does do that, and I do thank you very much, Tim, as well. I wish to try to get you as much subscribers and viewers as possible, as you two helped me out a lot in the past. Thanks, mate. Again, Tim, thank you very much. Speaking on behalf of Scott from Ghost of Zion, who I know very well, he would thank you a lot as well. More subscribers and more viewers gives us a little more power to do more things and a little more influence, which is always good. For us, it's never been a game of how many viewers or how many subscribers we can get, but it is nice that when you put work and effort into making videos and models, that it is something like a side reward. So thank you very much for that. Last question, Samuel again, who asked on another video, and I believe that it was good enough to put here. This was regarding my resin Leo build. Will a vacuum or some kind of suction fan help get rid of the dust? Now he's referring to that when you sand resin dust, there's a lot of it. It's very cancerous, very dangerous to breathe in. I recommend and want people to buy an organic chemical vapor respirator opposed to a dust respirator, because A, you can also use it while airbrushing, B, it will block the dust. You will not breathe any of it in if you follow the instructions and wear it properly. The filters only need to be replaced on a yearly basis. The mask will cost you about $30, but opposed to your health risk, it is very worthwhile when you're working with dust. Resin dust, I find, just gets everywhere. It's very light, it's very sticky. A fan probably can help, but you'll probably want to have an industrial rig. They'll probably be a lot more troublesome, expensive and bulky than a mask. You're better off just wearing a mask and wet sanding when possible. If you dunk a piece of resin in water and sand it while it's under water or under a running tap, the dust will just go immediately in the water and will stay in the water, opposed to just sanding. If you can't help it, you sand, dust gets everywhere. After you finish, while still wearing your mask, get a cloth, dampen it, and the resin dust just picks up immediately with a damp cloth. Wipe yourself down, your clothing, the workbench around you, your pants, anything that has a fine layer of dust. Have no food or drink anywhere in your work area. Rinse the cloth and you're away to go. The second question, and I'm sure you went over this in your paint stripping video, but will your putty work stay intact with bleach soaking, or did you redo it at all? Now, with a few models that I built, if it's like an acrylic model and I dipped it in bleach for half a day, one day, some primer and the putty stayed on. When models has been soaking for more than a day, if it's an enamel, primer, lacquers or more layers of paint, unfortunately the putty does fall out. It's a case by case situation. For this resin kit, the putty did fall out. I had to re-putty it, had to re-sand it. It was time consuming, but as you saw with the finished results, it was very worthwhile. Another interesting question I did see on Facebook, there was a discussion on building and scratch building with pla plate or styrene sheeting, and they were asking about the construction or scratch building of piping, guns, pole weapons, anything that had round cylinders, and they said, how do you produce the cylinder out of plate? Now that's probably very possible, but far too tedious, far too difficult. The brand Plastruck and Evergreen Styrene sell tubes of all different thicknesses and sizes, as well as strips and piping of made out of styrene. have a look on their website. They've got a giant range of different shape material that can be chopped and used in all sorts of manners. They've actually released a book, and they make some of their products to represent certain detail. It's very worth looking into. Bit on the expensive side, but again, it's a time saver and it's very worthwhile. They sell you long pieces, and you'll find once you buy a packet or two, it will last for many projects. And once you've stocked up, you'll remain heavily stocked for a long time, if that made any sense. A couple of shout outs before we end the video. As two Facebook groups I want to give a shout out to. For the people that I don't give enough love to, the military modelling guys, tanks, 72nd Armour. There's a group called Military Modelling. They're pretty big. I think several hundred to a few thousand members. They get a lot of very nice work on there. Excellent modelers on there. Very friendly conversations. Very supportive group. Have a look at it. I like their dioramas and their painting and weathering work on armour. Have a go. I'll leave a link down below. Gunpla Builders Australia, the Hobby Code group backed by Bandai. If you're in Australia and you want to be a part of a small community, they are very worthwhile checking out and being involved. They have regular challenges and group builds with very generous prizes. Ghost of Xeon runs that, so check that out. And that's about it. We're finished. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, peace out.